Good morning, guys. I thought I'd pop out here for a late June garden tour. Kind of off schedule a bit. Things have been a little crazy between vacations, just things going on, and the weather. The weather has been so weird. We went from raining nonstop for days, and kind of the temperatures being in like the 60s, 70s, maybe 80s with the rain, especially like getting humid right before rain. And then all of a sudden it went to an extreme heat wave for a week. And I happened to be away. I didn't even realize that was going to happen. So anyway, then it went from being like high 90s, very humid for a straight week, no rain, to right back to 60s, 70s and raining again. So it's been a little bit difficult to get out here to be able to do a garden tour, but I thought I'd pop along and show you a couple things that are new for June, and then hopefully I can get back on schedule in July. Grab a coffee and join me for a walk around my garden. Starting in the front garden, you'll notice not a whole lot has changed besides the fact that the growth has really begun. I still didn't get to see any clematis flowers this year because of the deer, but it does look like I have a couple buds. This thing's really taking off. The thing that I still don't really know what it is. My lamb's ear has taken over this container, but I think it looks beautiful, so I'm okay with that. Here's something new. My scabiosa or pincushion flowers. Oh, if I can reach it. Look how beautiful. So I have a dead one in there. So I'm really excited to grow more of those because they are so cool. My yarrow has exploded. What I didn't realize is the white migrated over here. So now it's not just apple blossom, but white too. Probably dig that out next year just because I don't need a second large bush of yarrow. But I will say the pollinators love it. You probably can't see it, but there's just tiny little bees all over it. Oh, well, this is kind of a new development. This is a verbena I got from a plant swap. Looks like somebody ate one of them off, or actually two, I guess. But that thing got rather large. That's interesting. Let's step over here. My containers here, they look really bad. They were kind of some of the victims of that really extreme heat wave and didn't really thoroughly water since it had rained for weeks straight. And this garden bed, I had plans of like formalizing this a little bit more, picking it up this year, cutting some things back, but it seems like the garden had different plans. I did get a nice crop of my breadseed poppies, so hopefully those pods will dry out soon or the rain doesn't ruin them, because I was hoping to make some lemon poppy seed things. Oh, there's one of them left. See, they're bigger than this. This one's just a little guy, but that's kind of what they look like. Otherwise, I did plant some hyacinth runner beans on that little trellis. I think they're still down there somewhere. They may not be alive anymore due to the 4 marbles that have just taken over this entire area. And then I also have a random tomato back there, which I went back and forth on if I was going to remove it or not, and curiosity won the best of me, so it stays. My hydrangea, though, has put on a lot of growth this year. So I'm really excited for this to all bud out because I think that's going to be really beautiful. I didn't realize my Rudbeckia came over here too. I also have that everywhere. So if anyone ever needs Rudbeckia, I got you. This pot looks a little worse for wear. I did get to harvest some of the Crispidia balls. So I have those drying. Actually, I dried them. They're in the basement, ready for crafting, but the rest of the flowers in here look a little drab. So hopefully I can keep pruning them. I think that's what I'm gonna do, is just like cut it back and hopefully it'll get better. Got a lot of calendula action and bees with that. Oh, I just noticed I have a 4 marbles over here, so I'm gonna rip that baby out. I do have a dahlia in here, but as you can see, he's small and looks pretty bad, so the rain may be deteriorating him. We'll see. This container also looks drab. I thought the combination in the early spring was just gorgeous. The Nemesia with the sparkling amethyst verbena and the, I think that's the Midnight Mini Vista petunia. It still looks okay. The verbena at least is still putting off flowers. I think the Vista is stretching too far, and the Nemesia doesn't have any more blossoms. I'm not really, like, this is my first time growing Nemesia, so I don't know if I cut it back, if it'll rebloom. Probably, because most annuals do that, but we'll see. I'll probably wait till the 4th of July weekend to do that. This Gerber Daisy is still doing amazing. He's my tried and true, comes back every year and puts a lot of blossoms off. Gerber. The Mallow has completely taken over, but I really like it, so I don't mind. There's a random sunflower, of course, because that's always happens to me. That pot back there still looks pretty good. It's got a nice combination of snapdragons and my favorite Bordeaux petunia, and then a little double purple Super Bells with a Gomphrena. So that one still looks pretty good. Looks like it also has some amaranth growing out of it, I just noticed. So that might be interesting. My lilac has gotten huge. And I no longer have a hanging plant because that was one of the first victims of the extreme heat wave, not enough water situation. But yeah, around 4th of July again, I'll probably do a rejuvenation prune on him. I don't know, he looks really healthy and like he's already putting off a lot of new growth, so I don't know if it's worth doing this year, but we'll see. This little flower patch, my cone flowers, of course, are done for now. I've got some apple blossom snaps doing their thing. I did plant a stalk in here somewhere, but I'm not sure. Oh, there it is, right here. Didn't bloom yet. Mallow is taking over back there, which again, can't complain. The foxglove was pretty, but pretty shadowed this year. It just wasn't as big of a show as it usually is. And I still have some Sweet William plants back there. It looks like one's about ready to bloom. So those should be pretty cute. And this is really fun. So these petunias, or sorry, pansies, I always plant them in this little bucket in springtime because it's not leafed out. I'm looking for color. And then I always kind of let it fend for itself, and it always grows these really long stems just so it can poke out of the tree. I just think that's really funny. So I let it happen. Of course, my beautiful, beautiful tree. I did not prune him at all this year, which I probably really should have, but oh well. I don't know. I should prune it because I think it's better for its health if you do that, but like, I just love how full it is. So it doesn't drive me to prune it very much. My butterfly bush I did, however, prune, and of course it's coming back flush with nice new growth. And funny enough, a milkweed, a showy milkweed, started growing in the middle of my plant, which I feel like is nature's way of fighting back. Because if you're into gardening at all, you know that butterfly bushes are invasive and people are definitely not fans of them. Because of that fact, it kind of takes away from the monarchs and stuff like that because it's not like their main host plant. I will probably one day rip it out just to be like a good steward of the earth sort of situation, but I'm not there yet. I grew up with butterfly bushes before they were labeled as invasive, and they're just very nostalgic for me and very, I value them very much. So what I do for now is any little seedlings I see pop up or anything like that, I rip them out. But there's nature's way of fighting back by putting a milkweed plant in the middle of my butterfly bush for the monarchs. So definitely gonna let that happen. And I don't have this variety of milkweed, so that's exciting for me too. There also looks to be my first sunflower opening up. I didn't plant that one either, but I just kind of let it do its thing. There's a little bumble. So yeah, that's basically my front garden for this year. Somewhat of a wild mess. I have not been as able to keep up with things this year with work and other things going on. But I still love her. So now let's go to my veggie garden. Again, I started this year with really good intentions. I did not want my garden to go as wild as it did last year, just because as much as I love that and how much it wooed me, I did notice a lot of like downsides to it. Some plants just like not thriving due to being crowded out and so on and so forth. And I missed my prim and pristine pathways, but now I basically have a yard and I can't really do anything about it. I was going to remulch this year heavily just to put it back in, crowd out the grass. But then I remembered my garden beds will need to be replaced by the end of this year. We don't exactly know how we're doing that yet, but I figured adding mulch when we know we're gonna have to rip this whole space apart probably doesn't make sense. So the wild patch it is that I just have to weed whack every week at this point. I've also tried to rip out a lot of bronze fennel just because I have so much of it, but I keep leaving patches because it's also so awesome. It's such a good pollinator plant. It's so tall. I love to use like the leaves in arrangements, but even the flowers, like how umbral they are and how much the bees love them. Yeah, so I have a few patches I kind of didn't rip out. My baskets still have pansies going, which surprises me. I do keep trying to, you know, like deadhead them so that it encourages them to keep putting off blossoms instead of going to seed. I did put fish pepper in the middle here. It hasn't really done any variegation at this time, so I'm unsure if my seeds got mixed up or what's going on. I got another patch of cornflowers here, and the lavender I got at the Urban Garden Festival right there is putting on some growth, so hopefully next year that'll be really cool. My raspberry bush also is doing pretty well. It almost feels like it started over, which makes sense because I kind of repotted everything, so it's trying to regrow itself. And I do have some branches that are done, so I need to cut those out. I also have this super cute thing growing in here. I have no idea what it is, but I love it. I might have to cut that and dry it just to keep it. All right, so coming through here then, my fig tree looks amazing. So really excited to see if, I'm not gonna get figs this year, but if next year, that would be pretty awesome. I did cut down my giant kale finally, and I did trim up the arugula a whole lot. But as you can see, my lettuce is pretty much done. The Swiss chard though looks beautiful. That's literally why I plant it, just because the stems are so striking. I can't help myself. And then I have this year's batch of kale kind of picking up the slack, so been eating on that just a little bit. Not a huge kale fan, but I do like to grow it because if I'm desperate for something, I have it in the garden. I do see a cute little nasturtium popping up as well. So this patch kind of wild again. My beets though look fantastic. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to harvest a decent amount of beets this year. My potatoes in this bed also look amazing. They've already started putting off like potato berries and flowers, so just waiting for them to die back and then I'll be able to harvest them. I do see some potatoes popping through and they're green because they're hitting the sun, so those I may not be able to eat. Technically they don't like kill you, but they could give you a pretty bad stomach ache if you eat green potatoes. These buckets with the mixed snapdragons actually were really pretty. I'm really happy I just kind of decided to do that. I did that one year with a cherry twist variety and I did not care for the cherry twist very much, which I think is what kind of got me away from it, but especially with all the pinks and stuff, really pretty. I did put a yellow climbing nasturtium in the back. The yellow is not the yellow on the package. It's a lot brighter, so I'm not a huge fan of it. And it's not really like climbing, so I don't know if we can see any or not. I only see the leaves that are dying, so that's fine. I have a chamomile patch here, a couple brassicas. I threw a stevia in here because I needed to plant it somewhere, and I figured at least there it'll be able to grow and I can harvest it and do some stuff. Yeah, the side's pretty much just like a fend for yourself side, except for the basket of pansies that also still looks great. This is also a kind of fend for yourself area. I finally have so much borage, I don't know what to do with it, and I'm pretty happy about that. Again, pollinator lover. Really cute if you're trying to do some sort of like fancy cocktails. You make like ice cubes with the flowers in it since they're edible. They taste like a hairy cucumber skin, so it's not like something you actually want to eat, but looks cool. This pot I was trying to fill with chamomile or like any other things I saw. I didn't plant whatever this is. Pretty sure it's like a weed, but it's also really pretty. So probably gonna figure out what that is and leave it. I do have sunflowers going on back here. That one fell and cracked, but like it's still growing because it's been like that for a week. So I'm just gonna let that happen. I also have dahlias back here, my white blizzard. I was worried they wouldn't come back, and I'm already getting flowers. This one looks pretty rough. I think the rain's been rough on everybody. This is my lettuce, cold crop, green stock usually. All of the lettuce bolted. I have, you know, a few things hanging. This one particularly is still here because it's got little babies. There's 4 little guys in there. They're so cute. So yeah, I left those because I didn't want to disrupt them. I have turnips too. It's the first time I've ever gotten like sizable turnips. So I'm gonna harvest those soon. I just have to figure out what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm gonna roast them or if I'm gonna mash them. I'm unsure. I threw a couple extra peppers I had in here that were looking pretty rough, but I didn't have anywhere else to plant them. And my carrots are looking pretty good. So hopefully we'll be able to harvest some carrots soon. And then we'll just transition to this bed. So this bed also had beets and potatoes. And I did harvest a fair amount of red potatoes already, just because they were dying. Like these are kind of dying too. So I'll probably do the rest of these not too long from now. I did have a really large amount of beets. I have a couple still in here. They seem to get really impacted by the potato foliage, just kind of like didn't let them get enough sunlight, but B, I had like severe leaf miner issues, which normally isn't really a problem. I usually just kind of rip those leaves off, but I'm wondering if it was more of a problem than I realized. So, and then these beds were new to me this year, and I was trying to do hugelkultur where I filled the bottom with like, I didn't do logs as I didn't want to encourage, you know, those sort of bugs necessarily, but I did do a bunch of like sticks and cardboard and garden waste, all that kind of stuff, and then filled it with bags of soil. But obviously it is deteriorating and working, and these beds are really low. So I think I want to plant these extra peppers in here just because why not? But I really also want to fill it up with soil before I do that. So I'm kind of waiting to harvest my potatoes and beets till I fully plant them. Hopefully add some additional soil and then go from there. And this is something I was trying this year where I've always tried to grow squash vertically, but I've not really had great success with that. And sometimes it's probably just the support I'm tying it to, or just the fact that you really have to keep on top of it. So this year I was trying it on this trellis. It does grow so quickly. Like I probably already need to add another tie, and I just did 1-2 days ago. So, and I'm trying to encourage the leaves to grow through the trellis. I of course don't imagine it like going over the trellis, but keeping it up so the bees can see the flowers, and I'm saving space by not letting it take up this whole bed. I thought that was a pretty cool idea, so trying that. I have my bucket of sweet potatoes. My mom really helped me out by finding some sweet potato slips for me at one of the garden stores in her area, because I was not having luck with that. So thankfully I have a bucket of sweet potatoes now, so Thanksgiving is saved. This fabric pot was supposed to be garlic. Most of those I already picked, and or they didn't thrive. Garlic doesn't really like to share space, and unfortunately the wild carrots kind of took ownership, and also a random potato. So I'm just letting that be what it is, and I'll try and reset it again next year. Onto this trellis, I have I threw in some sunset runner beans that I just happened to have seeds of. I've never planted them before, so I really had no idea what they would look like, but I'm pretty sure they are not edible, and you really just grow them for the flowers, and they're pretty cute, and they are really like grabbing on and growing up the trellis, which makes me really happy. There is still a sweet pea over here, but as you can see, that's probably going to need to get ripped out here soon. My cantaloupe's taking off, which is exciting, so hopefully that keeps growing, and I can maybe grow some cantaloupe this year. That'd be so exciting. I have some on this side too, and I also had a extra loofah that I think one day I was like, I just want to see what happens, and I sat it on the ground there. It's still in its pot, and I put it up against this trellis, and then it started taking off up the trellis. So now I'm definitely going to have a loofah there. I don't know how well it's going to do since it's still in its pot, but it is what it is. I do still have one garlic over there. At least I think that's a garlic. Looks like a garlic. This pot here is supposed to be my Kajari melons, which it looks like they're doing okay. They were super aphid infested and kind of like curling in, kind of like this. So I think I cut the growth top off because it just looked so bad and there was nothing I can do about it. And I was hoping by doing that it would encourage side shoots, which it seems to be doing. So hopefully I get some Kajari melons, because that would be fantastic. Trying the whole vertical growth thing over here as well. I have two different types of zucchini. I have just the regular old green zucchini, and I have a golden zucchini. These also kind of suffer from the fact that the soil level sunk, and there's just so much stuff going on in here. So, but really the only thing that is growing, or should be growing in here, is of course my onions along the side, which they're looking great. And then I have some green beans. Couldn't think of the words. I had a couple different varieties. So the purple and green, which I don't remember what the variety of the purple one is, but the green ones were jade. They popped off for a little bit, but then they just kind of aren't performing because the dragon tongue took over, and I'm getting so many dragon tongue bush beans. Like, I keep coming out every other day and picking like a basket full. So unfortunately for my conservative sort of relatives, their green bean casserole for Thanksgiving is probably going to be white and purple beans. It'll taste just the same, I promise, but makes it more fun. I did have to move my strawberry green stalk out of the greenhouse because, of course, during that extreme heat, and I was away, I had to come back and take out all the sections just so I didn't fry all my strawberries. Then I cleaned them all up, routed some of the runners, hoping that helps me continue to fill this green stalk with strawberries. I didn't get a super great harvest this year. I did okay, but not really great. I think a lot of that is because of transplantation of the strawberries and or them being new. Like, you kind of need to give them time to establish. So hopefully next year I'll have a better harvest, because that'll be year 3, I think. Also, just because this is a native wildflower, it's called Mexican hat. I think they're cute. This little blueberry seems to be doing better. I do have to dig the tulip bulbs out of that pot. And I keep trying to rip out the wild carrots that just keep coming back. So hopefully I can get that figured out. And then this container was mother of pearl poppies that just came back from last year, which definitely looked really awesome right in the beginning. But then the heat and the rain kind of killed it back a little bit. I do have, well, I honestly thought this was a spoon tomato, but now looking at the size of the flowers, that might not be a spoon tomato. So I had a patch of Sweet William grow over here, and they were so cute. So sorry about that, you know, summertime, hashtag summertime things when trying to do a garden tour. Camera overheated. But I was saying something about the Sweet William. But moving on, we have this green stock here. This is kind of my floral / experimenting green stock. I just kind of grow a bunch of random seeds or flowers, perennials or annuals, whatever. Looks a little rough, like some things are done. I probably could trim a few things up, but otherwise it's doing really well, and I enjoy this one. Looking at this here, this was supposed to be turnips and radishes. I have a couple sizable turnips in there as well that I'm hoping to use. The radishes, of course, did not do great for me, and now there's a bunch of other random things growing in here, including a sunflower, because why not? I also have some random squash growing here. I decided to leave it because I'm crazy like that, and we'll see what happens. My carrot bed here needs me to come through and do another thinning, it looks like. They're looking mostly decent. There's a few areas where I think the carrots look a tad small, but otherwise I think they're doing pretty well, and I think I'm going to get a decent carrot harvest from this year. And then over to here, this is the blueberry bush that just won't die, so I dug him up and gave him a new home. He's browning right now, so I'm thinking I probably need to give him some fertilizer, but other than that, he did throw off one blueberry. I did not eat it. The birds got it for me, but otherwise he looks good. This was also a beautiful patch of mother and pearl poppies. Again, they look really bad right now because of the rain. Letting it go because I want to harvest some of the pods, not for eating purposes, but for crafting purposes. They're like this nice, perfect, very small size to use in crafts. So, and then this little container was just kind of I had extra seedlings, what am I going to do with it sort of situation. So I have a mini dahlia in there called a Frank Holmes. It's like a purple pom-pom, very small, along with some celosia and amaranth. And then I also have wild dill, because dill is, to me, pretty similar to the fennel, except that the foliage is a different color, but I use it in arrangements as well. And these are also great for pollinators and arrangements. And also, if I ever really got into pickling, that would be great for that. My black raspberries, I have a couple berries there waiting for them to color. I knew they weren't going to do a whole lot this year, but the plan was to get something started, and I think I've succeeded there. I also have another lavender that I planted here. This one's doing better, probably gets more sunlight. And then my other pot of pansies and violas and little tiny fish pepper. This one at least has a little bit of variegation. I also have a random torch flower, so I'm gonna have to transplant him somewhere. What do I want to do now? I guess I'll just go back this way and talk about my actual beds. So this is my bell pepper, jalapeno, Fresno, and other couple random pepper bed this year. They were doing kind of bad, actually. Like, some of them look pretty good, but they're pretty small, they're pretty behind. I think that's because our weather has just been so strange. So hopefully they pick up. The onions along the outside look pretty great. I also have this random amaranth growing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same one that just randomly grew here last year, and it put off like dark purple foliage, and I've kind of got little seedlings of it everywhere. So again, glutton for punishment, kind of letting that happen. We'll see. I also have this cool little, this is like a Chinese 5-color, is that what it is? 5-color pepper. Basically, it puts off these little peppers. They start like purple and then they turn to orange and yellow and red. And when they're red, you harvest them, and I dry them and make Thai chili sauce out of it. This is a striking orange calendula. I think it's the first time I've really looked at it because I'm usually out here just doing chores. Nice little bumble. On the inside, so my snap peas are just about done. They haven't quite given up yet, so I'm keeping them on, getting a few peas here and there. My cucumber was behind. I did finally get to harvest my first one yesterday, but it looks like they're picking up, so that should get better. I do have alufas growing here, and it's gotten the whole way up here and keeps trying to take over my tomatoes. Oh my goodness. I've got my first blushing cherry tomato. Yay. I have a bunch of tomatoes growing, but that is the first one to blush. So this is, I have cherry, I have yellow pear by their cool little pear-shaped, black cherry, and then I have slicers on the end here, so that's a Cherokee purple. And then I like to grow basil and nasturtiums between them. The basils tend to do really well around tomatoes, and it helps bring in pollinators. If I let it flower, that is. I guess I usually don't let it flower. My bee balm looks great. Nice pretty purple. And this side still has a sweet pea vine going. Bee balm on this side. On this side I've got the striped German. He's not doing as well as the Cherokee purple. And then I have the Roselle tomato, which, look at these trusses. They just seem to be a lot more vigorous this year than I remember. This is a new to me. It's called a black strawberry. So waiting for those to blush so I can try those. And then I have a second black cherry here just because I like things to be even. I also have a loofah growing here, which is also doing fantastic. And I have a cucumber growing here. This is the Boston pickling variety, so they're smaller. I just tend to like mini cucumbers. And then these snap peas are not doing as great either, but it is what it is. And then this bed was ranunculus and spring bulbs and anemones. Those have all at this point been ripped out, and now it is my dahlia bed. So I've got 3 dahlias in the back here, a couple sets of 2, and then 3 in the front as well, trying to fit in as many as I can. I decided this year not to pinch my dahlias just because I kind of wanted to see the difference. And I'm unsure if they're throwing out blossoms early because of some issue, or if because I didn't pinch them, they're staying smaller. Not really sure, but I'm already getting some dahlia blossoms, so it's kind of interesting. I can't wait to see. Some of the ones that are blooming or doing well are new to me, and or not new to me, but didn't get to see many blossoms last year, so looking forward to that show. I did have to rip all of my sweet peas out of here, but the amaranth is doing great, and so is the alyssum. My cold crop bed for the year, I'm getting some really nice looking cabbages. I've already harvested 2 of them, and they were pretty delicious. My broccoli, I got a couple sprouts off of it, but nothing really sizable, unfortunately. And that was supposed to be a broccoli, and it's actually a Brussels sprout. I do see some Brussels sprouts forming in the nodes, so I'm kind of hoping this new variety to me will potentially give me some Brussels sprouts for the first time. I did have a row of cauliflower here. I have since then harvested and eaten all of them, and they were delicious. And then I threw in some extra bell peppers because why not? Why waste space? I have a random zucchini growing here that's actually finally getting somewhat sizable, so I'm gonna have to address that. And then I have my slicers on the back here. I believe this side is Dr. Witchy's. Yes, it is. So that's my Dr. Witchy's. This is my Black Beauty, one of my favorites. It's already putting on some nice black tomatoes. And then in this bed, I have the Robeson, one of my favorites. And then this is a new to me as well. It's called Pink Steak Sandwich, and I got it from somebody who was trying to grow their own variety. So, oh, I didn't get to show these since I didn't spin it, but cool little pink bellflowers, right? And then I have 2 extra dahlias back here. I have my Cafe au Lait, which I've tried to grow 3 years now, and each year I've only gotten like 1 blossom off of it. And this year I'm gonna get not only blossoms, but it looks like early blossoms. And then the one next to it is the Daddy's Girl variety. And then this is sort of, I guess we'll just call this my mainly hot pepper bed. I've got 3 poblanos in the front, which are finally starting to put on size as well. I've got 4 serranos behind that because I love me some serranos. Then I did shishito peppers behind that, which I'm excited because I did not grow them last year and I missed them. So growing them this year. And then I've got 2 Thai chilies there. And then the other side is like aji something. They're new to me. Someone gave me some seeds, so trying them out. And then I have a random banana pepper plant because that was the one I thought was a jalapeno. Bought that by accident. There's another zucchini here that is doing quite well. I think I've harvested like 2 zucchinis off of it. And I'm trying to encourage this one to grow down. But there is also an extra squash of some kind growing that I have not ripped out yet, but most likely will because I want peppers rather than squash. So that's really what's going on in my growing spaces. Inside my greenhouse, pretty much cleared out. I did just recently move my hanging baskets back in the greenhouse because with the extreme heat, it was just really, really hot in here. I've got some flowers that I'm drying, and I've got bulbs I'm drying. I've got ranunculus I'm drying. This whole thing's filled with statice I'm drying. Oh, here's the Crispidia balls, or 2 of them anyway. And I have a batch of lavender as well that I dried. I needed to pick it to encourage more blooms. So, not a whole lot in the greenhouse, of course, but that's to be expected. I have a second pot of poppies over here. These did have some of the breadseed poppies as well, like this one. So I'm hoping that they dry so I can eat those and not get like moldy. I didn't really show the tall pot over there, but it's basically a repeat of this one. They're doing really well this year. I did get 1 stalk to bloom, my a cherry blossom color. I'm still waiting to see the apricot color, so hopefully they're really cute. But the snaps did a really great job this year. The little mini rose bush is still kicking. On the other side, it died out, so might try and replace that. Not really sure. I do think I want to throw some zinnia seeds in there though. Some snaps did fall down here and are growing. I've kind of let that happen too. And then I did go ahead and plant finally my zinnias and my Astra Cream sunflowers and the Lisianthus that some I started from seed. This one I didn't start from seed. This one I bought, but this one I started from seed. Those look like they're gonna bloom here soon. I bought this trellis because I really wanted to grow butterfly peas up it, and I had 3 and I was all excited, and then something ate them all the way to the ground, which was very unfortunate. But thankfully I've got 2 coming back, maybe 3. So hopefully I get some butterfly peas, but I'm kind of concerned it's a little late in the game, but we'll see. I didn't plant this sunflower or the one in my greenhouse. I should rip that out, but again, I am thrive for chaos, I guess. So yeah, there's a couple things that are technically weeds. My mullein died, which kind of stinks. I didn't plant that either, but I liked him. Probably should cut this down, but I was playing with it. And yeah. So really that is the tour of my greenhouse and my vegetable garden. So now let's look at some of my pots and see how they're doing. So coming on to my patio here, my hostas are doing fabulous and kind of letting that happen. You've also noticed I have some hyssop growing, which I'm also letting happen because, again, chaos. And the bees love them. Like, how can you say no to that? I have my little herb corner going over here this year because it died out on the other side, so I'm hoping moving it over here does better. I've got some blue basil, some tricolored sage, a whole bunch of thyme with oregano and a random dill growing in the middle, and then a bunch of rosemary. I've been trying to be better this year and harvesting it more frequently and drying it just to keep encouraging growth and not putting on flowers. This little pot over here do still have a sweet pea going, but again, that's probably not going to last much longer. But the geranium looks beautiful, and the bacopa, the way it dripped out, is also beautiful. And then these petunias, I really need to get in there and deadhead them. But I also think I just kind of knew they weren't going to do great there because they get the least amount of sunlight. But they were the extras I had, so it's what I did. And then I have these two begonias here. This one I've actually really enjoyed. I'm not a huge fan of orange, but it's just such a cute, like, apricot color. I think it's doing well. And this one I just bought because I needed filler. Well, Piami. But I'll never buy these again. I'm not a fan. She looks so upset I'm out here and she's not. And then my little cart over here, my apple mint is doing well. I've been keeping that trimmed up as well. I mostly killed my thyme. Whoops. Again, heat wave, very small container. Probably should just trim him up. I might be able to bring him back. And then I've got a lemon mint here, some alyssum, and some holy basil seeds, and also randomly fennel. And this poor little succulent that does not look too hot, but oh well. And then over here, I have my Martha Washington geranium with that begonia that I can't remember. The dichondra and alyssum are beautiful in this pot. I will say next year, one thing I would change is I do not think the begonia likes it on that side. Last year I had it on this side and it was beautiful. Looks pretty rough on that side, so might switch that up a tiny bit. That's just Dusty Miller and that begonia. This orange begonia, it seems to be kind of lackluster this year. I'm wondering if it's also suffering from not getting enough sunlight, but these apple blossom Devil Impatiens, I love them so much. I hope they have them again next year. My lemon, I finally brought him out of the greenhouse too, though he probably would have loved a lot of that extreme heat. I do have one lemon. I kind of picked off all of the others and or knocked them off because I didn't want to, you know, overburden a first year plant, but it'd be really awesome if I get one lemon off to try. We'll keep doing with my pots and then I'll go into the actual gardens. This almost done, but it's still got some going, which surprises me. This is another geranium and the apple blossom mix with the alyssum and the sweet potato vine. Gorgeous. Love that. I did enjoy this lobelia. Again, not a fan of that begonia, but the Dusty Miller and the snaps, that was super cute. This is my other herb container. It's my cold crop herb container, which, as you can see, like, cilantro's done. It is completely bolted. I'm just letting it turn into seeds, and then I'll plant those seeds instead of succession sowing it. I don't need a lot of cilantro, so it's fine. My parsley is looking a little rough, which I'm trying to keep alive because I do use the parsley. And then I've got two different basils down here. That's a cinnamon basil. I don't really use that for culinary purposes, more for floral. So that's why it's flowering. But the purple basil I do use for culinary purposes, pizzas and pestos. This pot is, well, actually, it is kind of rough. I was going to say this one's gorgeous. I mean, it is gorgeous still, just because some of the flowers are burning. This combination though, that cherry begonia, and I don't like the color red, but I love that. Along with this peachy keen verbena. Man, I thought I just deadheaded these. And I love this stuff, that Angelonia. It's like, couldn't remember. Pretty happy with that. I think it continues to bloom, so that's pretty cool. I don't think I have to deadhead it. And then I don't remember what this petunia is called, but man, it is so cute. So, one of my favorite pots this year. This little combo back here, still got the blue pansies going, some snaps, a random sunflower. You get the drift. And then this corner over here, also always one of my favorites. I really love this lemon mint. It is just so pretty. I've got some Lisianthus starts that I did. I've got the nasturtiums here. These look to be mostly the peach melba variety. I think I did a combination of peach melba and jewel, but these also need like cleaned up. I need to like do all these leaves and stuff that are spent so that it keeps looking pretty. And then I've got my bubble gum with some apple blossom snaps and my deep pink verbena. I've got some stevia here. This is like a mini stevia, and at first I thought it wasn't stevia, but it definitely is, and I like the smaller variety much better. And then this random pot of dill that seeded itself. There's too much in there, so it's not looking amazing, but it's still cool. And then the last couple pots I have, this was another mix that I very, very much loved. Not sure I'm loving it now with the salvia being kind of boring, but I did just recently deadhead it, so I'm hoping it'll flush out another growth. Camera shut off again. But anyway, the Merlot petunias I think is what I was talking about, and I love them. This was a really cute combo. Just hope the salvia rebounds. All right, let's go ahead and look at my other gardens. This is my patio garden. There's really honestly not a lot to show here. There are some marigolds and such, but like it gets so shrouded under here that there's really not much to see. And I did have some stargazer lilies and stuff, but they have all been eaten down by deer at this point, and that's okay. My lavender did give me some lavender to pick from this year, but that's also one of those plants looking pretty rough. Probably gonna have to move him. Even my bird bath doesn't get enough sun. But this garden bed has been really great. I really love that catmint. I got a primrose from a garden swap, so looking forward to that. My coreopsis is coming back. I think I might plant a lavender there. I'm just concerned that there's too much purple or not enough sunlight. So trying to vibe that out. I did get a white anemone there as well, which is another reason I might not plant it there. They might compete over time. I put some amaranth starts I had in here. This is a pink anemone that's coming back. This delphinium did good. It's one I bought this year. I still have the rhubarb there that I do need to dig out and find a new home for. And that I believe is an aster that hopefully will do something. That was a penstemon too, so that was cute. I bought a lobelia from the native plant sale. It has been eaten down, so I didn't really get to see it. There's still a delphinium back there, but it hasn't put in any bloom stalks. There's a couple patches of anise in here and snapdragons. That was a wild geranium. The deer have continued to eat my sunflowers. The lupin was really cute. This aster is going to be incredible whenever that starts its thing. This lamium, really liked that. It looks rough now. I probably should cut some of it out, but that's going to continue to spread and be pretty. My azalea looks really healthy, so I think he's going to be coming back, and my astilbe there as well. All right, so now let's go to my pollinator set garden. Starting out front in my pollinator set garden, this thing is really full and lovely this year, so I'm thrilled. My phlox are coming back, which I was worried. The yarrow patch is still gorgeous. My irises did amazing. There's some cosmos sprinkled in the middle there, along with some weeds, unfortunately. My little onions that I just love when an onion flowers. My crepe myrtle is pretty healthy, even though it's kind of being overgrown by Rudbeckia. It also put out a lot of sprouts, so I'm gonna have to cut those back. Got some straw flowers over there. My larkspur was really pretty, even though it looks pretty bad, and it looks like a lot of it's pretty much died out at this point, which is fine. More Rudbeckia, most of it being eaten down by deer, but there's so much of it, more keeps going. Still had milkweed here. My echinaceas popping up everywhere, which is perfect. Got mallow popping up through here. There's some more straw flowers back there, more echinacea, more weeds. My sage, I'm planning on coming in here and cutting down pretty heavily so that it is a more rounded growth. I've got my patch of dried flowers here. I do need to come through and harvest some more, but this is turning out to be really awesome. Look at this. I've never had this kind of color. It's like a really light peach. Ooh, tons of ants too. And my eryngium, so they finally bloomed. Look how pretty. It's got pollinators everywhere. It's kind of leaning over, so I do kind of want to tie it up, but it's pretty difficult to get to it right now. My comfrey looks great. Probably too much of it, so probably really need to cut some of that out at some point. My peony did great. These asters are just incredible, so I'm really excited about that. This is new to me. This is called a corn cockle. I bought some starts off of somebody. Love them. Huge patch of echinacea. Cannot complain about that. Very happy, especially because I was slightly concerned. I may have had yellow asters last year, but it must have just been hot and stuff. Dahlia here. Pretty sure that's the black touch dahlia. Not one of my favorites. Kind of the cactus variety. Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice. Sunflower. That's a really pretty color. That's awesome. More echinacea. Oh, this was new to me this year too. I bought these starts. This is an annual bellflower. That was a rose color. More anise. My black hollyhock came back, thankfully. I was getting real concerned there because the deer kept eating it. I did grow a couple more hollyhocks that I had planted back there, but they're not really coming up, so that's kind of a shame. I did have this really, here it is, this really pretty Southern Charm mullein. So hopefully that comes back next year because I really liked that. Daisies did pretty decent. The rose campions taking over. Also cannot complain about that. My lavender, this was my pink lavender, did very well. I cut back all of the growth, so hoping it'll do another flush. I didn't get as many poppies this year as I normally did or do. A couple of the red, couple of the mother of pearl, and a couple of the Black Swan variety, which this one didn't bloom yet, but they're fuzzy and they're pretty. My hibiscus is finally kicking in. No flowers yet, of course, but it will. I've got this basically hedge of fennel here that, again, just kind of letting it do its thing. Hopefully I'll get a lot of butterflies because of it. This hydrangea looks okay. It also looks like it's got some crepe myrtle pieces coming up. I'm not surprised it doesn't look good. I did break off quite a few branches and stuff this year, which you're not supposed to do, but we needed to because we were putting in drip irrigation and it was in the way. Patch of goldenrod. This stuff I cannot get rid of, along with the anise, really. So I just rip it up here and there when it's in a spot I don't like it, because I do love it when it is blooming. And then in this area I've got another dahlia. Pretty sure that's an Arabian Night. That thing has been throwing off blossoms all spring so far. Got another penstemon here, which is, I think, going to be gorgeous. Excited about that. A mystery dahlia. I happened to get a mystery one, so I put it there. I think it's a phlox also, which we won't see flower this year. And I got a spiderwort, which I've never grown before. The hibiscus kind of is heavy and fell over. I probably am going to tie some of it up, but I did enjoy that. Looks like I got a hollyhock growing here too. And I threw in a couple cosmos starts. I had a tray of seedlings of zinnias and cosmos that were the victims of the extreme heat and not enough water from their mother. This is my patch of calendula that I just kind of let it do its thing every year. I do throw in my elephant ear though, and that is starting to pick up, so really excited about that. I did have sweet peas planted along the bottom here, and some of them did grow, but they did not make it, which is fine. And I also let a tomato grow back here last year, which means I now have tomatoes everywhere. I've been ripping them out here and there because this just doesn't get enough sunlight to really produce viable tomatoes. Their skins are not strong enough to withstand it. But yeah, we'll see. And then I've got my 2 pots of mint here. I've got peppermint and I got spearmint. So yeah, that is my pollinator side garden. It's so full this year and so just rich in color. I am really happy at how this space has been getting established year after year, so hopefully that continues. I forgot I wanted to pop in and show you a little of the newest crochet project I've been working on. I got this hand-thrown bowl in the Shenandoah Valley when my husband and I went on vacation, and I'm attempting to make a garland of wisteria flowers. So I've been just kind of crocheting varying sizes and colors, and then eventually what I'll do is attach them to a vine, and then I'll also crochet some leaves, some vining leaves, and hopefully make a really cute little decoration. Anyway, thanks for watching.